What is going on, guys? It's Yoji. Welcome to the Hilariously Casual Podcast, episode 9! And, where we talk about Path of Exile and other things. I'm here with Sean the Sheep, aka Project PT.
Hey, you weren't supposed to know these things.
And, we're talking about Atlas of Worlds. It's like 1 week, pretty much. Next week at this time, we will be playing Atlas of Worlds in the Essence League.
And we've been hinted that the patch notes should be expected in 3 days?
Wednesday NZ time, so that means like the night from Tuesday to Wednesday European time for us. So tomorrow night. No.
And eventually we'll make this a weekly podcast when the stars align and the apocalypse happens.
Yeah, this will become a weekly thing. Eventually.
So hard at this.
The good thing is it fits in within the theme of the podcast, I guess. So
exactly.
It's half
we should change it to the hilariously incompetent non-tryhard podcast.
Yes, definitely. Hilariously unorganized non-tryhard podcast.
Hilariously failed.
Yeah. Oh, right. Someone actually made a pretty good suggestion for a name change on YouTube. Was the casual something non-tryhard podcast, and the abbreviation would be cunt. That would be pretty good.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I was like, that might be worth doing. So we might still work this out somehow.
All right. Possible rebranding in the near future.
Yes.
Possible.
We...
Okay, so you haven't had internet, and I haven't had any time then to really discuss with you some of the Sextant stuff and the Atlas. What have you wanted to just kind of vent out in the last week of information that you've just had to divulge through?
Yeah, I got just like all these like little snippets of information. I just took some time on stream right before this to like actually have a proper look at all the uniques and whatever is like revealed. And what I was shocked at the beginning was when they said like, hey, yeah, this is how the Atlas works, and there was no way to reset the Atlas. And I think you made a video about this as well. Yeah, you made one. I think you were like one of the very few people who even talked about this. Like, because I was very scared that you couldn't, like, people always said you can customize your Atlas and stuff, but if it's not reversible at all and it's like league bound basically, that was the one thing that I was scared about. But now we get a way to reset Atlas. We don't know how yet or to which extent. If you can, I think you can unspec certain completed maps, right? That's what has been.
They've said there's going to be a tool for us to essentially uncomplete a map, but they didn't tell us how much it would cost. But they did say they would want the cost to be high enough that it would discourage players from doing it.
Yeah, so you just don't like willy-nilly like complete any map and just like scour it out because it was a torture chamber and you don't want to run these.
Exactly. And that means I'm going to be like probably at the start of the league plan, stay in Dried Lake until everybody else fucks up their Atlas, and I'm like, okay, this is how I do it.
Yeah,
that's my plan.
Yeah, my plan is for Atlas is probably just like try out all the new maps just in general, and then maybe like at some point later in the league when I'm just like farming up new characters, I might just respec all the bad layouts out of my Atlas again, just so I can still like have a normal map progression, but I like unspec all the like really shitty ones like cells, the ones basically all the maps I usually wouldn't run even if I have the map.
Well, they did say that they're trying to make it so that the choices of the maps are more debatable amongst players, and that they were working to make the tile sets more comparable.
Yeah, which I really hope will happen eventually, because currently the map meta is basically like the map. There used to be these things where people were always complaining that the map rolling meta is too one-sided. Everyone just uses Beyond. Everyone just uses Ambush, and now it's basically everyone just uses the best layouts.
That's with the highest pack size on the map possible.
Yep, you just like get pack size and use linear maps that are super fast and easy to clear, like Gorgeous.
The thing is, I just don't see. I'm worried that they might try to solve the problem and not. That we'll just have like maybe 2 maps and they'll have the exact same layout or reasonably comparable layouts, but one of them is going to have a boss like Crematorium style power level currently, and the other one will just be like Shipyard. And it's like, well, which one do I want to run?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe that could be a problem. The other thing would be if they actually try to make every map very linear and easy to run, we would just end up with like a lot of like tube-formed linear boring maps.
Would you prefer more maps being as good as Plateau Gorge and all that fun stuff, or would you prefer more maps being given tile sets that require at least some backtracking, or malformation, for example, if it had more mobs, because there's not enough mobs in malformation, but stuff like that where there's walls, corners, all that fun stuff.
I think I would like maps to be a little bit more clunky to run, like have some more backtracking, but it doesn't have to be like as bad as like Tunnel or something. And I don't want to hate myself while mapping. I want to have, I don't know, stuff like Shrine or whatever. It's not completely linear. They're like side paths, but it's not like a complete mess of a maze where you're like you like click on walls all the time. Your cyclone doesn't work properly. It's like you can't barely see where you can even go, even on the mini map. I want like the all right maps. That I think that would be good because if you have too many and too easy access to all the linear, like super easy, fast, clear maps, in my opinion, you just are incentivized to run the build that can run through the map the fastest while stuff dies, aka Valspark or some form of like Cyclone Cast or Grid that can move while it's killing stuff while Molten
Yeah.
Shell.
And you're literally just running A to B, and that's about it. Whereas if there's some backtracking, that means you're going to lose your on-kill buffs. And right now, it is about just keeping those on-kill buffs and your flasks up 100% of the time.
I mean, maybe they. I don't know how possible this is, but maybe do not have the layout tied to the map type. Don't have every tropical island look like tropical island. It would take away a bit of the identity of maps, I think. But
Yeah.
if you could have like some more annoying tropical islands, could be a thing. Every now and then, like make it look different. On the other hand, it takes away the whole effect of like, I know what this map looks like, I learned it, I have knowledge, I can apply that to become better at mapping. That would also be taken away. So I'm not really sure if that would be a good solution.
I think the issue with that solution, from a practical standpoint, it's a very good one. But then you're going to run into the issue is you're going to run like a tropical island and you're going to get a tile set C. And then you're going to run a gorge or whatever. And then you're going to say, wait, this is this is map generation C.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
for that not to happen, they would then have to essentially take 100 maps and then each give them another, 5 or 6 multiple layouts. So it's like, hey, we have to generate 600 maps.
Yeah, plus it would also like take away the uniqueness from the maps because now you run a tropical island and it will feel like a tropical island. It will not suddenly look like a gorge or whatever from the layout. Will not suddenly have a tube with a boss at the end.
I just like the fact that I'll be able to, if I hate a map, just take it out of my map pool.
Yeah, I think
And
that's cool.
fantastic to me. It's not about efficiency. It's just like I hate Phantasmagoria. It's not actually a bad map. It's surprisingly linear. It's a bit low tier, but don't want it.
Yeah. That's the same for me, really. It's like, I don't want to run cells. Like, just no. I don't like it. I don't like running through these little doors and checking all the rooms and shit. No. So, yeah, I like that as well. That's what I'm looking forward to. Plus, maybe even like farming certain areas of the Atlas for bases at some point. I can definitely see me do like farm for the belts, for example, the crazy ES belt base with like, hey, here's another 70 ES.
What was it? I thought it was like 72.
Yeah, I think it's probably like 60 to 80 or something.
Yeah, that would be absurd. It's just absurd.
Wait,
But if it's not eye level 84, that's kind of the thing, though. You'd need to be able to get those belts at eye level 84.
Would you?
Well, you'd want them, wouldn't you?
I mean, you would want them for like the highest tier resist rolls and stuff, yeah. But on the other hand, like flask rolls are like eye level 20,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the
if
highest ES is also not very high, right?
Yeah, you'll have to be, but I was thinking for selling bases, people are generally
yeah.
not too keen on buying non-eye level 84 bases.
Or probably just like alk all the bases because alking belts is not very unlikely to produce a good belt. You just,
No,
alk
and
them, sell them.
if CI stays kind of in its same power position, there's going to be no reason not to just alk those because that's so much energy shield on the base. Like currently, the tier 1 energy shield roll on a belt is 42 to 45, isn't it?
Yep,
Or is it
something along
46
those
to 48? So
like below
if
50.
you have a perfectly blessed chain belt with a tier 1 roll, you do not have as much energy shield as about seeming like 70% of the base.
Yep, that's how it works.
Actually, no, because it goes up to, it's fairly close. So maybe like 80%. But yeah, it's like, interesting.
It's just you get 2 good flask rolls on this. You have a 70 ES double flask roll belt already.
Are,
No
are
matter
you
what
gonna
else you roll.
are you gonna be looking for it's 48 to 51 is the tier 0 ones.
Oh, 51
Are
actually.
you going to aim for something CI then or energy shield related with the new league?
Oh yeah, with like the new items that have been spoiled, I don't really see a reason to not play ES-based builds anymore. Like it was already hard to justify not playing ES-based beforehand, and now I think it's almost impossible. With the new Valyrium ring, the better Eye of Chayula, and the new belt base, I don't think there's much reason for me to not play CI. I like to play on the top and top right side of the tree anyways, more because I like my crit builds, I like my projectile attacks, I like my spells. I'm gonna just stick with ES for the whole league, probably.
There's also the amulet that's the 1.2% regen. Usually when you're a CI related, you have to give up a decent amount if you want life regen.
Yep.
And that's a lot of life regen just to be like, hey, if you want it.
Yes, it also becomes way more noticeable if you have like 12k ES or something like this, which should not be a problem at all to achieve at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really nice. Like 1 point something percent, or maybe you get like 2 or 3% of like 10, 12k. That's very noticeable.
I'm the first thing I'm going to do when I get to the patch notes is I'm just going to do Control F and do Energy Shield.
Yeah.
And just, is something going to be done about Energy Shield?
That's what you're looking for? I'm gonna go Control F Poison. I'm curious. And probably also Bladefall and Mines, because I want to know what's happening in that area. That's something I really hope they address Poison in some extent.
Shaper, is that going to be something you're going for?
I might. I at least want to see like how far I can push again. Like this league I got to tier 15s, didn't beat Core Malachi because of damage constraints. And I think I'm gonna like probably push slower, but I'm gonna try and push further as well, because I'm not gonna have time to play as much and stream as much. But that will make me play characters for longer as well, because I can play characters even if everyone else would be Resident Sleeper.
Yeah.
So I can keep playing, and no one in stream's gonna die of boredom.
You never know. People die to weird things. I'm very, very curious to the Shaper encounter, and especially the mobs up to it, because with the solo self-found constraints, are these going to be bosses that are a reasonable challenge to a general amount of builds, or is this going to be like when Edziri first came out? Because when Edziri first came out, it was known that it was not a reasonable encounter, and it was never meant to be a reasonable encounter.
Kind of like Core Malachi right now, which is basically the encounter that you are not supposed to beat unless you're playing like crazy OP build with insane gear.
Mm-hmm. And like, he has a retarded amount of life. Like, just
I watched your core attempt, and you were like, after a while, like shooting like 2 or 3 essence trains, you're like, he has a lot of HP. Like the HP was not moving. That was my exact reaction as well. I was like, yep.
Well, I'm thinking about like what your gear was compared to mine, and I'm just like, you must have just started that fight and been like, well, this isn't happening.
That's true. I wasn't really like taking too much damage for the most part until like I started screwing up, because the fight took so long. Of course, if the fight takes longer, you screw up more, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. But I love the difficulty. I think of that fight is actually really awesome for like the hardest boss to fight. I was really happy with the whole map and all of that.
Yeah, and I think you appreciate the difficulty of that mob the moment you're rolling core and you're like, nope, nope, sure.
Yeah, I was running an alt regaled core with like very, very tame mods, just so I could like just to want to see, because I was already sure if I roll like any like monster life on this, I'm definitely not going to make it. But I at least wanted to see if I can make it without it. And
I think I had endurance charges, monster life, lightning damage, and
good idea.
Well, I did it to die, so I didn't want to. It was good. That lightning damage, though,
was not too unrealistic, but like 100% extra lightning damage is noticeable, probably.
Yeah, like if you just had physical, it wouldn't be a problem, because you're like, oh, it's 100% physical, and then that means, you're going to have 75% resist, and that means you're only getting 25% of that damage as lightning.
And Immortal Call can proc in bad situations as well.
Yeah, and so that's not too bad. But since he has the percent fire damage, it's 100% of the physical, which is only 25% more, but then it's 100% of the fire, which is 100% more of that elemental damage type. So it's like, that's all fun.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of like interesting Control F ones from people for the patch notes, by the way. That's like elemental hit. I don't think that's gonna happen. um, broken
I
as build.
give the elemental hit +1 chain. Honestly, that would do it.
Wouldn't help for melee. It's a melee skill as well. Give it melee
It would
splash build in.
it would help-ish. If you melee splashed and everyone you hit created a chain.
That would be
I don't know.
interesting. Maybe something like this. Like just basically give it some form of AoE, because right now you have to stack too much less multipliers to make it work. Cast on crit will be an interesting one, because they confirmed like quite some time ago that there will be changes to cast on crit in some way.
Yes, but they did want to put emphasis that the reason of the changes was because of the interaction of cast on crit in their servers.
Yes.
They want less stress on their servers because of cast on crit. I think if it's nerfed, it's more of an accident.
Yeah, I think if it's nerfed, it's probably also maybe in the extent of the last nerf, which was also performance based, where they just like put a higher cooldown on the proc rate. And as we can all see, cast on crit is still fine. And I think even with a little bit of more of a nerf of the proc rate, I think we would probably still be fine.
Well, even then, when they nerfed the proc rate, they increased the chance of it proccing on cast on crit. At one time, Chris hinted at the chance that cast on crit would have 100%, but then that's when it was going to come out for like 2.4, and then he was like, "What? I apologize for saying things. Ignore that." There was a rework.
But yeah, apparently some sort of rework might be happening, which is probably a good thing to control F for the patch notes as well, if you're interested in that kind of build, because there will likely be something like that happening. Anything you think that will happen that has not been announced, where you're like, I would be surprised if they don't tinker with that?
Honestly, I've gotten to the point where things that I would have assumed. Example, Pathfinder being buffed.
Oh yeah, I was very surprised. But
interesting design choice.
But I was more surprised because I didn't understand how it works, because how they buff and nerf. Because they after that then clarified that they look at the numbers mostly for it, like not on the numbers of the skill, but the numbers of people who play a build. So honestly, maybe Pathfinder gets another buff. It's not played much.
Yeah, so Guardian's gonna get another buff so that their supports can be that much better?
I think they kind of understand the power of Guardian a bit more, but they got another buff that was not too like they didn't buff the already crazy parts. They actually buffed more like the utility, and it actually feels better now. Like the block node before was very very underpowered. It was like you don't really have the points to spec into supporting stuff and high block to actually trigger this stuff.
Yeah, ambulance +1.
Yeah.
All right, 1 ambulance for the day, or at least for this this
far.
event.
I think we have 3 or 4 on the stream so far.
Do you have an ambulance counter? You got to start that.
Oh, you probably should start that.
Exactly. So we're at 1. That being so, the thing that I would hope that it happens, but I don't expect it, is the curse nerf. Or actually, more important than that, they need to disable Frostwall.
Yeah, I think Frostwall is one thing I'm really looking for. Like besides the whole poison double dipping, I think Frostwall needs disable it, change it, disable it.
It can't be balanced around, though. That's what people don't understand. Like, if you have a skill that pierces and gives you a bonus hit, you can chain Frostwalls and you're getting, 50, 60, 70 bonus hits, and then everything dies instantly.
It's basically the shotgun problematic all over again.
Yeah.
Just this time with attacks that have AoE attached to them, like Ice Shot, Lightning Arrow, Kinetic Blast mainly, I think.
And then again, if it's removed, Frostwall's an interesting skill. It's always been a skill that I've enjoyed. I remember playing Firewall in Diablo 1. That was my favorite skill. Fucking Diablo 1, Firewall, and killing myself accidentally.
Because cast damage taken Frostwall, yay.
Because I had friendly fire, if I recall correctly, in D1.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe I'm not remembering that correctly, but I'm pretty sure Firewall had friendly fire and you could kill yourself with it. So, Frostwall, I would love to see more happen with that, and actually being used as a skill rather than just cheese a boss instantaneously.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to like friendly fire, I remember lifting up or trolling everyone in the low life challenge we did like a year ago with freaking Frostwalls. That was pretty hilarious.
Just trying to kill other people so that he would win the challenge.
Yeah, that was basically the plan. I'll just like wall you off so you fall behind an XP all the time because you're like behind. Or wall you off of loot because we were also doing what is it called? Short allocation. So you could like actually wall people off of like an alchemy orb. That's pretty
Yep. I was- Well, I remember that also reminded me of Kataro had a mechanic so that the first come first serve style thing. You could, if you were in a party, you wanted to make sure you check that fucker first.
Yep. Yeah, within the guild when we are partying, we actually had the rule of like we share the drop if it's like worth a lot. And when I was randomly partying, I was actually partying with my viewers. That was the league where I was playing my support, and I got snagged and exiled in front of my face. Like we all got from one guy who was just like happened to have all the coins with him, was just like whoop exiled. Thank you very much. That was pretty nice. It was really fun though. I like this kind of like a little bit of a competitive dynamic with loot.
And I like that one. I think that's a really interesting. Like we can all agree that free for all needs to be optional, not mandatory.
Yes.
And they figured that out. Do you think Essence might have something like that?
Essence? I'd be surprised if there would not be like.
I'm going to assume it's just going to be allocated.
Randomly allocated, yeah. Might be the person who opens the thing, but I don't. They didn't do that with Pirandis, so with the coins. So I think it will just be.
Yeah, it would
random
make sense.
allocated, just normally.
I just hopefully the mobs are difficult. I would hope that we've got some rippy stuff. We haven't had rippy things in a while, even after they nerfed Bone Spire in 2.3. Sorry, 2.1.
And the bear boss, talisman boss, that used to do like screen wide ground slam that one shots people for 9k. That guy was pretty cool. I would call him rippy.
Yeah, yeah. After those, we just haven't really had very, very interesting or mobs that you're always worried about. You're always like, okay, where is this guy?
And nothing new, really. The Kinetic Blast Exile with like the Warcry is one of the ones that I actually watch out for still. Because if I play like a summoner, the Abyssal Cry Exile is still a bit dangerous. But she isn't quite as dangerous as she used to be.
No, she was nerfed pretty quickly. I do remember the two new ones, the Kinetic Blast and the Warcry one, had a couple interactions that were a little bit unfair.
Well, they used to one-shot everyone.
The Warcry on Totem desummons, one-shotting people with the Abyssal Cry for whatever reason. People were like, wait, what?
Yeah, or golems as well. Like, oh, my golem died randomly. Boop, dead. But yeah, it's not that crazy anymore. But if you're standing like in a horde of, I don't know, SRSs and they for some reason die to their kinetic blast, you're still dead. Especially because it's chaos damage. If you're not capped or like a very high chaos risk.
But from there, not much has. Yeah, the Exiles have been toned down. Maybe the Exiles that are going to spawn in the precinct map will actually be more challenging than the base.
Yeah,
actually, that's the thing that keeps coming up. So the precinct map boss is going to be a random amount of Exiles with a maximum of 6.
Yeah.
I think they said
like 2 to 6
3 minimum,
or something
2
like
to
this.
6. If those Exiles are base power level Exiles, as they are now, I don't think that boss is it's just going to be a loot pinata.
It will be a pain for melee, for some melee builds, I think. Because like jumping into so many Exiles, you would have to like lure some out. But depending on like who they are, like as Ziggy said, if you like have like 2 of the bear trap guys and like Magnus, I think you could be in trouble. A Magnus Igna double bear trap guy. There's some combination that can definitely annoy you.
The bear trap guy is probably the scariest Exile for me in quite some time. He does a decent chunk of damage, but even as melee, I see it. And I'm going to probably be playing melee, I'm going to just bait the first cast, because they're all going to cast, and then they have that animation wait time, and then once they've casted on location, I'm just going to one, and then they're stunned to death.
Yeah, they just like kill the two or three most dangerous ones, and like kill the rest from there. Yeah, yeah, I think, and especially if you're playing ranged, like if you're like Lightning Arrow, Kinetic Blast, whatever, you just back there are some Exiles. Pew 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 pew, dead. Okay, everything good.
With enough Sextant modifications, there's a possibility that it'll do something interesting.
Yeah.
And we were given the information that the Sextants have 3 different tiers, the white, the yellow, and the red tiers, and they're going to be different rarities.
You can't trade them.
I thought that was an odd choice, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. I thought just like every currency, just slam it on a map and you're good to go. And maybe you can roll different maps, different mods depending on the tier you use it on. That's what I kind of expected. But apparently that's not the case.
I don't particularly like that.
I don't really know what I think about this. Like, depends a lot on the rarity and like how you acquire those things.
Well, we
Like, how
acquire
will
them
pan
they drop in maps,
Yep.
which is vague.
They drop in maps.
And we only know 4 of them. We know the quantity on unidentified, a Nemesis mobs drop 3 additional items.
Boss has an extra unique.
Boss drops an extra unique, and then an extra mod.
Adds a random extra mod. I'm very curious what that will be. If like random extra mod. First of all, will you be able to see the mod? Is one thing I'm wondering. Like, will it be like unidentified map where you just don't see what
An
it is?
extra unidentified mod. Ooh.
Would it be that? If not, can it have
Yes.
blood magic or reflect on there? Because that way you can randomly fuck over your maps. Like you go in, you go in. You are elemental kinetic blast. You decide, no, I cannot run elemental reflect and go out of your map again. Rip that one. That was like, it's basically like Tempest all over again. You open a map, Abyssal Tempest, next map.
Well,
See, even the ambulance agrees.
2 ambulances. I am doing blood magic for a very specific reason related to
Ah, I see.
just in case. Like, I'm like totem blood magic. If anything spawns, I should be able to do it.
Totem blood magic seems pretty universal, yeah. What are you going to do, like melee totems? Melee, the slam jam totems, whatever they're called?
Yeah, the ancestral. Well, I want to give myself the option of the Shaper fight. And that means I have to do core.
And you have to do something really strong.
Yeah, I'm going to have to cheese to a certain degree. And realistically, am I going to be able to get the low-life character as powerful as I did? Probably not. But Juggernaut guarantees that I have the defense to do core. Because Juggernaut can do core a lot easier than a CI character can.
Yep. I mean, you would have to do a, like, 3 mod corrupted rare core to
3
complete
mod?
it. Yeah, that's the minimum requirement you have to do.
No, there's a
Right?
common misconception between the complete and the quantity bonus. They're different.
Wait, I thought you have to complete a map to get the quantity bonus.
No, the
What?
quantity bonus is a separate set of conditions. Completing a map is simply killing the boss. If you check through the thing, they're in different categories when
Oh,
they say
okay.
complete, and then there's another category that says quantity bonus.
So I only
The-
have to kill the boss if I want the completion.
Yes, and then the quantity bonus is obtained through in white maps just killing the boss, yellow maps a rare kill the boss, and then in red maps a corrupted rare. In which case, alt, regal, val, 2 property, rare, completed.
So there's completing, and then there's completing with quantity bonus.
Yes. Now the Shaper orbs are obtained through the not the completion requirements of the specific map that drops the Shaper orb, but the quantity bonus requirement. Now, when you also look at ZiggyD's videos, or a lot of when you see the trailers, you might pay attention to the completed maps, and you'll see a little bit of like a red star or sun. They have like triangle points. I have a feeling the red triangles around it indicate the quantity bonus has been achieved.
That could be a thing, yeah, that could be a thing. Ah, interesting. Yeah, and when you shape it, it gets like a circle around it as well, like in the map. On the map thing, the colored circle, I saw that as well. Yeah,
I'm
interesting.
confused why they separate the two, though, to be honest. I'm like, this is one of the convoluted for the sake of convoluted. Why not just make the completion the quantity?
That's what I expected, because that's like the intuitive and like reasonable thing to do, I guess. That's why I kind of assumed it would be that, but apparently it's not that.
Or, yeah, or maybe I am being too literal about it, but according to how it's stated, that's how it is. Question mark?
Yeah, big question mark here. But then I can kind of understand why they would have different tiers of Sextants for the different map tier groups, because the requirement to get, like, the requirements for the maps are different, so kind of makes sense, I guess.
I guess they don't want people farm. Maybe it's purely that if you could very, very comfortably spam Sextants on very, very high tier maps, the red tiers,
Mhm.
you can then get much more modifications and then tons and tons of map quantity.
Yeah.
Now, in the other circumstance, they can now generously give Sextants to the lower tiers as they won't have huge consequences to endgame currency. But then Shaper Orbs, which modify the low tiers to the high tier of +5, can be modified by lower tier Sextants, but then you can't get the higher tier Sextant modifications on the Shaper map.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Same for like the Shapers as well. So it kind of makes sense to make it so that you cannot like comfortably farm them without varling a lot of maps as soon as you actually are in red maps and don't want to go back. And varling maps is always has the danger of like screwing up your mods to something you cannot run, so you might randomly lose maps. And I like that they want to incentivize people to varl maps because varling stuff is awesome.
I agree. Valing is fantastic, and there's been too much happening in between like enchants and all that make Valing not worth it.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't even think once they made Xana cost so cheap, and the fact that craft or running a corrupted map with a Xana mod also costs Val orbs, it's just
that
you
I never
really
understood.
shouldn't.
That I never understood. It's like, wait, if I want a Bloodlines, my Val map, I have to spend like 3 Val orbs. What? Like,
I think that would need to change because that was one of the things where it prevents me from running the harder corrupted maps. So it's like, well, sure, I could get the +1, but then I have to pay like double the cost to modify it, and that
Well, that
extra
you could've
cost could
bought the
just
map.
probably bought me the map.
Yep.
I'm like, and odds are corrupting, it bricks the shit out of so many maps. So it's like, wow.
I think what would be cool if it would just cost Val orbs instead of Chaos orbs. So you actually save money if you run Valve maps. That would further incentivize Valing maps.
That'd be interesting.
I think that would be nice because I think like the whole theming of you need Val orbs to modify corrupted items, I think kind of makes sense because that's how Varicia also works. And for Varicia, I think it makes total sense. If you get that GG corruption, you will want to 6-link your item.
Yeah.
That's okay. But yeah.
No, and I'm fine with that. I agree there. But on the maps, it's more incentive not to corrupt, and that's the opposite of what we want.
I think they should. I think they should just incentivize us as hard as they can to run stupid, difficult content and die.
Part of me is like saying, imagine there's like a corrupted sextant that is like a Val sextant.
Oh, nice.
That is a permanent modification. When you randomize it, done.
Get wrecked. Or at least like scouring it away again costs like a shit ton of Valops or something like so you're like, if you screw up your map, you're like, well, I'm poor now. I think that would be cool. Like, I don't know, like 100 Valops or stuff like this. Like, buying those alone from other players is so annoying. Nobody would ever do it.
Yeah. But trade experience, you got to have some good trade experience.
Oh yeah.
We don't, as we knew, no trade improvements happening with this, which is to be expected. Do you think there's going to be much more trading going on because of the Atlas tools, or do you think the Atlas tool is going to make it so that players have enough tools themselves so that there will be less trading and more people can focus on their kind of the game in their own bubble, not necessarily solo self-found, but just not buying maps, not buying chisels, because we have a lot more sustain.
Mm-hmm. I think there might be a lot more map buying going on early in the league. Because, like, if you get a good map and you complete it, you now have the chance to drop that map. So if I buy all the good maps that I want to run, I can now start farming them and trying to get more of those. So I think early in the league, I would see it would at least make sense to for people to buy all the good maps first. So I can see there being more trade. And later, if you can sustain maps better, people will buy less maps. So maps are already pretty cheap this league, for example, because Bloodlines makes it so easy to sustain maps and so cheap as well. So I would say probably early on, maybe a bit more map buying and a little bit more like hunting or like maybe even teaming up, partying up with guildmates to complete a map, because you can just, if anyone's like, hey, I found the first gorge, like day 1 or day 2, let's run some gorges, and then you run one gorge and then everyone has it, can farm up, and then you can do rotations or something. That could be a thing.
I guess the concern, or it's not even it's a concern, it's the confusion. the purpose we have a tiered mapping system that has RNG gating. The Atlas seems to be a way to give us such a huge amount of map quantity that I almost don't see then the purpose of the map system.
I mean, I've complained already that I don't like challenge being too gated behind RNG, so I'm not too much of a fan of that thing in the map system that you have to. I like that you have to run, like, in theory, run harder maps to get more maps out of it, but in practice it's more like you have to spend currency on the system to get the right kind of maps and then get more maps out of it. That's like what it is, because difficulty of map does not equal more maps, it's pack size. And with that system being in place, I would say I'm not too sad about, like, getting more quantity bonus. I mean, maybe they nerf, like, that's something that people have speculated. Maybe they nerf the base map drops a little bit so that you are more incentivized to get a little bit of quantity. Like, maybe, like, we start at minus 20% from where we are now or something like this. So it takes a while to get better at it. And it wouldn't be noticeable early on anyways.
If Sextants are going to be giving us maps and the Atlas is going to give us more maps, I would expect at least a slight modification to the base amount of maps that we're seeing. Yep. And I think that's a fairly safe guess.
I would think so as well, because, yeah. And early on, if you're doing white maps, it will not be that noticeable, because normally sustaining up until tier 5 is not a problem unless you get, like, really unlucky.
You'll start noticing it once you're trying to build the that tier 8 to tier 10 to start and then push from there.
Yeah.
But then the tier 16s, I'm curious at what the yay 3 surprise.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the best of Yoji. What I'm curious is how often do they want us to see tier 16s? Like, are these supposed to come up frequently enough so that we're constantly doing them, or are these going to be rare?
I would be surprised if they want us to constantly run tier 16s. I think the whole idea is that getting to the Shaper is kind of like it's kind of like a special event that you only reach every now and then. I don't know. I expect Shaper to be pretty difficult to get to be honest. Which is interesting. Maybe, like, I don't like Uber Siri, something like this.
See, I would prefer a system where the keys were easier to obtain, or at least the tier 16s, but it wasn't very likely for you to complete it. So you get opportunities, but your return of your opportunities are relatively low. Then again, that's potentially abusable if you can create a build that has 100% chance of success.
Yes.
Which, will most likely happen.
I would be surprised if not. Yeah.
The other situation, I hope they're rare enough to feel special. That's definitely.
Yeah.
But then again, it becomes the you disliking the RNG difficulty if these are the only hard content, because they said they're nerfing core, which I dislike.
I kind of dislike it, but I can kind of see that they maybe don't want to make the Shaper so difficult that it actually is way more difficult than core. Because core is already pretty difficult, let's be honest.
But you can't roll modifications on the Shaper. He's not a map. And that's a very key difference.
Oh, right, he is not a
map.
Sad face. I just realized. Yeah, you're right. It's 4 fragments all over again.
Yep.
Then he better be really difficult without mods. I mean, Mia's alright to be, because he's kind of like a tier 17 Uber boss. He better be really difficult. Like really difficult. Because if they nerf core, for this guy, they're nerfing core to the level of Kaum and Deresso. And those guys were so, like, pushovers compared to...
Oh yeah, just a complete joke in comparison.
Yes.
The thing that I would say is he just going to be as hard as core? When you look at that phrasing, it does seem like they'll just make him core difficult with maybe 1 damage mod and a speed mod. That would be my guess at his difficulty level.
Like some extra damage. I hope he will be a little bit more difficult than core with that.
I'm hoping he's just complete bullshit.
And I hope he's completely, like, complete bullshit for the right reasons, though. Not like core. Core is complete bullshit because you can't see shit as well, which doesn't help. I hope they actually, like, have him have attacks that are different color from the ground and stuff. That would be nice.
Like I'm hoping for like firefight Mimiron or whatever from Ulduar in World of Warcraft or Algalon. I know you don't get that reference, but
Nope.
Complete of clusterfuck bullshit fight. Like you're just running around like dead.
Yeah, I hope it to be like an encounter where you cannot reasonably expect to complete it even in softcore. At least deathless not being a thing that people can really realistically achieve. And the way like when you go in hardcore, you're like, I die here. Doesn't matter. I'm playing the max block CI cast on grid whatever build. Like I want it to be like super difficult and challenging and mechanically difficult. Maybe put in the other bosses with it as well. Have some like cool visuals as well. Like just make it look really awesome. Lasers.
It's a huge encounter that you do every single boss fight in order of all the tiers, and you have to one build do everything.
Oh yeah, like the old Mega Man games. So you have like before you face the final boss, you have to do like all the bosses in a row.
Exactly that.
Without break,
so
and you can't portal out.
One fight, you have to do all of them.
You can portal out, and they just give you like all the tier 1 to tier 6 bosses in one room, like all of them. Like have fun. And then the next one is like all the yellow bosses. Then you have like some mixes of red team bosses.
And then after you get to the end, there's a console you go to it, and you have to beat like Ghouls and Goblins, the old game for those who know. And once you beat that, you can fight Shaper.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it would actually be cool if he summons his guardians during the fight again, kind of like the Winter boss summons the dudes. I think that would actually be cool.
Definitely a flavor reason to do that. But well, it's phrased that they're the guardians of the void to protect from the void.
Mm-hmm.
The Shaper might be. Think about that they're the prisoner or the prison guards of the Shaper, so it doesn't make sense that he would summon the people who imprisoned him.
That's true, but it would make sense that they come in to like fight you off because they don't want you to free the freaking like fight the Shaper and
they
break
fight
in
the Shaper.
There. I don't know. Maybe they fight the Shaper. That would be funny. Are they like? I thought they were his guardians. I think what I thought was that he defeated them, and they are now like guarding his thingy. They were guarding like the void, whatever it was, and now he turned them around, and now they are serving him, like with his whole. Because it's his Atlas, right?
It is the Atlas that he created, but their guardians. I don't know.
Maybe it's like one of those Exile stories where he's trapped in his own creation.
They used to be his jailers, or not anymore. All right, we'll have to find some information in the future to confirm or deny.
You are the lore person here. What is this?
We don't have the lore, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't have items. We have the speculation of what the lore might be.
Well, he has tentacles and stuff, so that's important.
Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Either way, they drop the keys for us to do the encounter. We can do the encounter. Hopefully it's bullshit. Curious if it's going to be a tier 16 or a tier 17 zone. That's just a...
Tier 20, just because it sounds cool. Level 100 map.
If it's tier 20, I'm going to do that fight with Detonate Dead.
But he doesn't summon ads, and he DDs everything on sight.
Because the base health of those mobs would be incredible.
That would be really ridiculous indeed.
Or, actually, if he's a tier 17, there would be value in taking a summoner, desecrating the ground, and seeing what Specters come out.
Yeah, see what happens.
What Specters are going to be available? If that's a tier 17 map, are people like buying cleared Shaper runs to create Specters?
That would be crazy.
Huh. Maybe summoners might have something coming from them in the sense that they get a tier 17 zone and most likely shit mobs to spawn with it.
That's in general something that would help summoners already, even if they don't fix the actual problems. If they had some higher tier maps that have guaranteed to have inhabit some sort of enemies. Like for example, malformations work pretty well for that. You can always get the revenants there, which is really nice. Or you can use a bazaar to always get the loincloth fire thingies.
The ribbons.
Yeah, the ribbons, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, but even then, those aren't incredibly high tiers.
Yeah, they're not too high tier. Maybe if they put some of those nice Specters into some of the higher maps, just as a guarantee, into tier 14 plus. Maybe.
Yeah, the day that they fix Specters, that's gonna be. Oh.
I like how like whenever someone is gathering questions for any dev, that's like the most upvoted question and never gets asked anymore because people have just given up. Like whenever State of Exile gathering questions, whenever anyone really is like, hey, we can ask like Chris Wilson stuff. Like Ziggy asked when he was at GGG headquarters. Like the first most upvoted thing on Reddit is always like Specters, and nobody ever talks about it.
But I, they need to redo it, like from the ground up. It's not a simple thing, so I think they're gonna delay that as long as they possibly can. I'm sorry, summoners. I like summoners too, but don't have hope.
Yeah, my hope's kind of like not getting better with the years of asking for this.
Summoners are just eventually, we'll get trade improvements and then we'll get Spectre fixes.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, at least that's like happening at all.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to have 3 trade improvements over the course of the year. And how long ago were the last trade improvements?
Was the last big expansion, right? With Piranhas, we got the pay to win stash tabs.
Yeah, so that was.
I was expecting it to be with this patch, like within this expansion, be the first one, and then with the next expansion being like another like 1 or 2. So we
Yeah,
get.
they said there was going to be 3, and we had the
3 years.
first one.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to happen over a year.
I would
So it's been
expect
6 months, and we haven't gotten a second one.
Yeah, so I would expect the second one out of this patch, but I think they would have already told us about it, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless it's something very minor, maybe they just put it in the patch notes because it's nothing too big. But yeah, they definitely said asynchronous trading is like cross instance. Those 2 are things that they are looking at. So maybe those are the next big 2 things.
I think the only thing that I would say is I remember them also talking about that before 2.0. So it's one of those.
That's true.
They want to give it to us in some way, shape, or form, but we are not getting it for some reason, either technical or just design choices. So we'll wait.
We don't know. All
We
right.
don't know. Mysteries.
I just remembered something I wanted to talk about. What do you think
What?
about the bosses that Ziggy has highlighted? If you have watched that video.
The one thing that I noticed immediately is they're all in individual rooms or zones. Now, I can't confirm that with the Exiles.
Yeah, for the Exiles it was pretty hard to see, but the other ones looked like they had their own
Yeah.
area.
And I would really like if bosses were just all in their own zone. Smaller arenas make it so that you actually have to deal with the boss more. People are like, oh, but I like kiting. It's like, yeah, but you kite within an arena. We'll go around the corner. That's what kiting is. Kiting isn't, I have an infinite amount of room, and as long as the boss can't touch me, I technically can't die. Like, that's not kiting.
That's like, yeah, I like arenas also because you don't accidentally run into the boss without noticing, or kill him without noticing and complete a map you don't want to complete.
Yeah.
Which
So,
is-
so the boss thing is definitely arenas is nice. I like that. But I remember the vault didn't look like it had its own room for the boss.
I kind of had a room, but the thing is with the vault was like in general they had like a lot of levers and doors.
Oh yeah, so there could have been a lever behind that too.
You don't know.
Either way, I like it conceptually. I do think that designing more raid style or just more mechanically orientated things on the boss rather than them just being a dude with 1 attack and more life is a good idea.
But then there's the goat, which is a boss with 1 attack and life.
But he doesn't auto attack, which
So
is
he slam dunks people.
yeah. The concern that I have is it really going to be a meaningful thing to what builds are capable of doing right now?
Yeah, that's the question, like where the difficulty level is. I like the look of the Riftwalker guy. I think most people like that. The space dude.
Yeah.
He just looked really cool, and I really hope they give us a Vortex MTX to this.
Yeah.
Because they would make a lot of money with this.
There's so many great MTXs that we just don't see. Like I want the Molten Strike MTX of that stupid mob in Fellshrine. Like,
Oh yeah,
just
that's really
cool. Even if Molten Strike sucks, I'm just like I kind of want it.
Yep.
It just looks cool.
It should just give a like slow flying like meteor frostbolt, and then we get like the Galaxy Nova, Frost Nova, what's it called? Vortex.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome.
The only thing
I'd
that I
probably
would just
buy
like
that and
about-
never play it. Just like for my
Just
cast with damage taken
in your own
vortex.
hideout, you'd be like, "Pew pew."
Oh
Then
yeah.
again, if it was a portal MTX,
Oh, that would be cool as well.
like that, like they had the black hole MTX,
Uh-huh.
and me as a sucker kind of like that one. But to be fair, it's not the best done. It's just kind of swirly black hole thing, which is
Yeah,
fine.
it looks pretty cool, but it's not like compared to the newer ones, which look like very more elaborate and like have really nice animations. Like the Piranda's portal, for example, is one of the better ones I feel.
Parandus is a nice one. I really like the. Actually, I thought one of the nice one was the Frost Stone one. That one's just because it has good effects without being
That
over
one
the
looks
top.
pretty nice as well. Yeah,
Yeah, they've done some really nice ones. But if they had that vortex that we saw as a portal,
that
I'd
would
be
be
all
pretty good
for it.
as well. Yeah, there's definitely some MTX to be recycled from stuff we already have in the game that would just be free money.
Woot!
And I mean,
Yeah,
GG getting free money is in the interest of all of us, I guess.
all of us. So that fight does look good. What was the other two?
The rowers can
Look,
enrage them for loot.
okay.
Loot!
I think more shit.
Yay!
I like the concept of bosses having enrages, controllable enrages for rewards. I think that can be a very, very interesting way to make it so that when you aren't sustaining higher and you're dropping down, that there's still something for you.
Oh yeah. And also
But
baiting us into killing ourselves, which is very
exactly,
important.
whenever you have greed being the reason we're dying,
Best reason.
that's good game design. I just worry. I'm never like an issue that with the labyrinth boss, the Izero or whatever. Though he has a variety of enrages, they are essentially the same thing.
A lot of them are, yeah.
Yes, some of them might give him elemental damage, which might make him threaten to your build, but it's still he does more damage.
It does more damage. Some of them are like the ground effects bearer things, for example. They are like more shit to dodge, which I think is different.
Yeah, I think
Different enough.
that's the one that I like,
Mhm.
even though it's probably one of the easiest ones.
It's one of the easier ones, but at least it's not just gives him a buff.
Yeah. And with the rowers, it's just kind of like, okay, there's 3 eggs, and it'll make them stronger.
Strong and fast, I think, mainly, yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel that the Enrage maybe should have done something more. Because if he's just stronger and faster, realistically, don't see it being too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just the roar boss. I don't think he will be like super scary or anything anyway, but it's kind of like a nice feature. Maybe they will recycle that feature for some of the higher bosses as well. That would be kind of cool.
And that's what I'm hoping for, that we're going to see more Enrage style mechanics on some of the higher stuff, because that is then going to be tools that we can play with and kill ourselves on.
Yeah,
Absolutely fantastic.
I think that's really cool as well. I think that's it. We got Space Guy, we got Slam Dunk Goat, we got Rowers, we got Exiles. Is that one missing? I think I'm one missing.
The
Oh, the Fire Fury, the new crematorium boss that is not rippy at all.
that disappointed me, actually.
I wanted, yeah, crematorium boss was one of my favorite bosses because I actually felt scared whenever I encountered it, because I was like, okay, I could get stun locked, she does really high damage, I have to actually watch where I walk, and she's not squishy. I
Yeah.
like that boss.
I too. They did tone her down. No, it's still a tier 11.
Yeah, but she's like a squid now that does glacial cascade of fire and heals on burning grill traps that you never will walk in accidentally anyway. Because they're like at the corner of the room, not in the middle.
Is there any map modifications that would make that bullshit?
I don't know how the healing thing works. I don't think so. Maybe if she gets like too fast, the healing becomes faster or something, like if you turbo her or something like this.
No, I don't see how turboing would make her heal more. No, that fight, nah.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
And it has a
It looks good.
And it has a mechanic to it.
They have definitely put a lot of work to making sure everything looks good. The Atlas looks good. The bosses we've seen look good. The skills that these bosses are using, the new tile sets just seem gorgeous. Like they
Yeah.
look fantastic in
Like the
what's been
tropical
shown.
ones and the fire
Now-
ice rivers.
Now the question is, what are our frames going to be? Because we do have the improvements, but certain people weren't feeling it before. Let's see how it actually goes when it's live. But yeah, that boss, some of them. Then again, is that going to be all the bosses? Does that mean all the bosses are getting some interesting mechanical stuff, or is this just going to be like 7 bosses have an interesting thing and the rest are just bah?
I saw Ziggy mention that a lot of the bosses get revamped and reworked in some shape or form, like switched around. Some of the duplicate bosses. I think most of all of the duplicate bosses get eliminated.
I'd assume so. If they're adding, because there was 19 new bosses or whatever, that was fairly a given. I guess the Gorge would have a different boss just because of it, and I guessed it was the Goat, and it was. I just hope that the bosses are going to be back in a position where you're like, do I want to do it? I want every boss to feel like Tunnel Trap. That is
like Tunnel Trap. That's the really high value. That's like probably one of the very few bosses I always skip these days, unless I'm Righteous
But the
Fire.
thing about Tunnel Trap is you know that you could do it too.
Yeah, but there's no reason to.
Yes, that's the thing, because there's other bosses that are, just easier to kill. But if every boss was like that, you'd be like,
Every boss is like that, I would probably like push myself harder. So maybe it's like a good thing. But Tunnel Trap is like one of the very few bosses in the game. Even if I do have done tier 15s and stuff, I know that this guy can still kill me if I randomly fuck up once. Which even freaking Calm and Areso cannot. Because they don't
that's the funny part.
Which
Calm's a joke.
Yeah. Orchard boss is just crazy.
Fuck.
Terrace is actually not terrible anymore. I just saw Orchard and Terrace is terrible in chat.
He is if you're Essence Drain, because your damage is like, shit.
Yeah, he's basically just a DPS check, though. He's not like he's going to kill you. He used to kill you. He used to have this super fast spamming of EKs. You enter the room and instantly die. He doesn't do that, and he doesn't even attack anymore. He only spawns Devos and heals.
Does he not attack?
Nope. At least I've not seen him attack and I've done this boss for forever. And I've played low enough DPS builds for the fight to last 5 minutes.
We need the blue or the Rakango that spawns on your way to Calm, the Triskaloin like thing or whatever.
That needs to be a map boss, and I will never do that. No matter how many maps every tentacle drops, I don't even.
I like it. It needs to be a map boss, and I'll never do it.
But that's good. I like to be the map boss. I actually did Plaza Boss. Plaza Boss is really fucking awesome. I hope more bosses will be like this.
Plaza Boss, I think, is one of the best done bosses.
Yeah, he's scary. He has mechanical counterplay to his scariness. He has traps in the room, which I like. The room design is awesome. Which I like it because it kills me, but when I'm really bad at dodging them. But it's interesting, and he looks really cool. All the abilities look nice.
I think the only thing that I do dislike is that it's a bit of a cheat to make him curse immune.
It's a bit of a cheat, yeah.
Like, I understand that if you could curse him and he builds a curse, that boss would be a joke. But what's that saying about curses rather than that boss itself?
Yeah, I thought about how to make curses not as crazy without just reducing the effectiveness and stuff like this. Something like giving bosses extremely reduced curse duration would be a thing against everything that is not blasphemy. That would be one nice thing. Or give them.
You solved all the problems except the one that mattered.
Yeah, that would be one problem. Another one would be something like a boss getting curse immune temporarily, but not all the time. Like they have a phase. Like for example, make the Reso curse immune during his Enrage phase. That would make him a lot more dangerous and interesting. Stuff like this, where you're like, okay, I can fight him, but it's really difficult.
I guess the argument about that would be, let's say you're doing a Juggernaut. Imagine Duresso in his last phase goes, 100% Fizz to Lightning. How would you feel about that?
I would like it.
You're just, I'm a Juggernaut. Blah. What happened?
Yeah, he's like, no damage, one shot. That would be interesting if they actually made it clear what's happening. Give him a little animation where he just imbues his sword with lightning and thunder and stuff everywhere.
Well, obviously it would be cold. I said
yeah,
lightning.
It would be cold, but you know what I mean, right? Or maybe his sword becomes this frozen thingy and he just goes full fancy animation. Kind of like Dark Souls 3, where all the bosses suddenly pull out a fire sword out of their ass. Kind of like this.
I like the idea of bosses enraging at the last bit, but the issue that we're talking about is immunities are something that you want to be kind of afraid of. Yes. I think there's a lot of problems. CI is good, in many ways in the current meta. But the reason CI is good is actually not the chaos resistance that it gives you.
No, that's just a necessity so you don't die.
Exactly.
It's
If
nice to have though.
CI didn't give you, let's say CI gave you plus 20 chaos resist and made it so that energy shield couldn't bypass and you went to 1 life,
Wouldn't change much.
people would still run it.
Yep.
Right?
People would still run it, but I mean, the reason to take CI is the more multiplier behind CI and the good ES load.
Yeah, exactly. You're choosing it for the ridiculous health pool. CI hasn't been, most people are just running low chaos resist because nobody cares about chaos damage. We use it for the health pool.
I mean, maybe low life would be a bit more popular then, because the immunity comes in handy. Like, not having to care at all about chaos damage is still something.
It's definitely a bonus.
That is a bonus, because if you see otherworldly, it's just not a mod for you.
When I was doing the Uber at Zuri trash and those stupid chaos snakes, I was just
snakes.
like, I had minus 60 chaos resist.
Or Malagaro, like, he didn't hurt me. I was the I. We were basically playing the same build, except I was the I and you were low life, right? So.
And I almost died in half a second.
I didn't take much damage from him. Like, the fire damage from him was kind of scary, but you died like, you were so close to dying when you whirled through like 2 traps, so like 10k, almost 10k gone in an instant. Oopsie.
Yeah, I was just like, mistakes were made. Go back to the decoy totem.
That was hilarious. So yeah, it does make a difference in certain situations.
It's a benefit, but it's not the reason you're taking it.
Yep. But I think I could see low life becoming more popular, and CI becoming more of a stepping stone towards low life if they did that. But I don't think it would be a nerf to CI that mattered.
The purpose that was, though, that immunities, there's a reason mobs don't have 100% fire immunity. There's a reason that mobs don't have 100% lightning immunity.
I think Diablo had that, right? Diablo 2?
Diablo 2 did. But Diablo 2 did also have essentially like unique items that you could use that would suppress enemies' resistances.
Like Ospreys.
Yes. Now, I think the problem then comes into our immunities good design. And if GGG has stated in certain ways that they aren't, in terms of elemental damage, in terms of there's a reason we don't have CI bosses, just imagine if Super has CI.
I actually joked about that before. I was like, CI, immune to physical damage. Have fun.
Yeah, CI cast 1 damage, or CI unique permacast to Mortal Call.
Yep.
Remember how Oak is just annoying for no reason. He's not hard when Dark Forest was a difficult map, way back when, 50 years ago. He would just cast a Mortal Call, and you're like, well, fuck this. You're a Fizz build.
I wonder if there will ever be like content in the game. I don't think there will ever be, but MMORPGs sometimes do have content that you need certain specific builds or classes to complete in like certain raids, where you have to have this specialized skill or character to be able to complete a certain raid boss, which is very popular in certain MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what you could do with that. Like, for example, you have to have a claw build that steals charges so you can't perma Mortal Calls. Crazy stuff like this. That would be so funny. I would like that to have in the game, but it would just create riots that could not be calmed down anymore.
I think the only way to do it would be... All right, so if I was trying to essentially implement these mobs that were impossible to kill under certain conditions, they would have to be a league mechanic, essentially, that can be reintroduced. So there is remember we talked about before, imagine there was like a statue that you could roll and then animate. We talked about that on another podcast.
Yeah. Maybe something.
So imagine there's a unique mob that is not animated, so that you would know what it is. And then essentially you animate it. So it's not a boss, it's not a wasted map, it's not a unique map, but it is essentially a very rare treasure chest for a very, very specific build, and then you're incentivized to possibly work around that. Like, what if one of them you activate it and then it just does an insane Fizz degen 100% on the ground until he dies. So unless you're Juggernaut Immortal Call, you can't do it.
That would be interesting. Yeah, maybe like have a strong box mod, like a dual mod that has like is guarded by 10 additional CI mobs, and then a second one contains additional, I don't know, high value currency or whatever. So you would have be like, Oh, I'm Caustic Arrow, not gonna do that.
But at the same point in time, it does
That would
seem
be
like it
annoying.
would be a ton of design work for a very, very minuscule thing.
Oh yeah, it would be a lot of design work just to annoy people. So yeah, I can see why they would never do it. But I kind of just like the thought experiment.
I agree. There's something around rewarding oddly specific things like Claw of the Magpie.
Yep. Contains 50 additional proximity shield mobs. Yeah, that sounds good. Get fucked, range builds. I mean, but yeah, proximity shield is a good example of where they actually have like this little design thing that specifically fucks over range builds, except for
I
degen
don't think
builds.
it does, though. Proximity Shield just guarantees that that mob, which is normally not a threat because it's a rare mob, everything around it dies. Now that when I see Proximity Shield, this is my response. Not volatile.
Yeah, it cannot be a volatile. That's like one of the main reasons it's not scary. If that could be a combination, that would be horrible. Like for so many builds.
Yeah. Volatile Proximity Shield.
You have to hug me and die.
Give it Shroud as well.
Oh yeah, Shroud Walker.
Shroud. Would it be broken if you could have multiple Nemesis mods on a mob?
Probably. Triple volatile. Boom boom boom. Volatile, all the blood.
Can't get the same one twice.
I mean, it's volatile Stormblood, volatile Ice Blood, and volatile Fire Flame Blood.
To be fair, I want that. Want to know why I want that? Because then you can't just stack like 16k energy shield and feel immune. You're gonna fucking die.
Don't give them ideas. Carves being scared. Maybe Shroud Walker volatile. I think most things that just make you tank volatiles are dangerous. Everything else is just... Berserker volatile could actually be dangerous as well because it gives them extra base weapon damage. And they go berserk, they go faster and gain extra damage.
I'm trying to think of like some kind of volatile Legacy of Vigor.
Oh yeah, Nemesis and Bloodline together. Volatile bearers. They're like...
Okay, what we need is a
need
tormented ghost. All right, a new ghost. That's the Nemesis tormented spirit that gives a random Nemesis mod to it. Because what I want to see is that like volatile bosses, unique bosses.
Oh yeah. Volatile. That would be cool.
Or we might be masochistic assholes that want to see everybody die.
And it gives like everything that it just touches gets like when it flies through a pack, they all get random bloodlines mods.
This has
and they
to be
all
a
become a
boss.
bloodline.
This has to be, we can call it Ouija board or whatever, but there's essentially a spawn points around the zone, and there's this huge health tank. It doesn't do much damage, just some piece of shit mob. But tormented spirits constantly fly into him, buffing him, and you have to kill him before he's ridiculous.
That's pretty interesting, yeah. I mean, probably like 3 or 4 would probably already be the breaking point for most builds.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you ever encountered the Ashes of the Condemned, the unique strongbox with all the tormented, like 5 additional tormented spirits.
Oh yeah, that gets fucking ridiculous fast.
Yeah, if you have like any like unique mob or whatever, like a boss, I actually had some fun and guided like a rare. I think it was the rare Devourer from the Devourer Prophecy into that thing just to try it out. I didn't die, but I couldn't enter the map again because he would just like instantly pop up with absurd speed because every one of them stack speed in my face and hit me like 3 or 4 times for like 2k damage. I was like, even with it not being hexproof and me having temp chains and feeble on blasphemy, he would still be a threat. I was pretty impressed.
I saw that chest twice. The first time was in a shipyard, and I think that chest wouldn't even have made that boss fucking hard.
He can spam it. Like depends on the ghosts as well that you get. Like for example, if you keep silencing you, that's boss. Really annoying. Yeah, shipyard boss. I think they just like there was some error with the base damage or something on that boss. It feels like it feels more like a bug that he's so weak. Like some number shift or something like.
Yeah, or the other one was I saw after I killed. So it only came out twice, but you know what? I probably should have done that. I think what I did enjoy doing was a prophecy that guaranteed, that the strong mobs were ghosted, and then going into Orchard. After I killed Uber at 0, I'm like, what's a challenge now? And I'm like, ghosted Orchard boss.
Oh yeah. I actually saw someone do proc it on a Ziri, and it procced the trio, and they were all ghosted.
Oh, that seems interesting. I saw a screenshot of a ghosted at Ziri, and the flame blast was screen wide. Like, It was not dodgeable.
The whole room was like, I mean, I have a character for that. It's in standard now, but it still can tank double flame blast.
But shit like that's funny.
Stuff like this is funny. So yeah, I like that in general, like the strongbox allows you to create some ridiculous stuff on purpose if you want to, which is pretty cool.
Well, I think I've said that Prophecy doesn't do that more often. Like, there are some very, very specific things with Prophecy that can be. Like, I like the warband spawning. I like the ghosted bosses. I like when it's, really almost doing kind of flashback-like stuff
Yeah.
in a map.
Yeah, when you get like all the combinations of old stuff that you normally would never get.
But I get tired of just, you'll kill a boss that drops or a mob that drops a scour, or you'll kill a mob that drops extra loot. And it's just kind of like, interact with me.
Yes.
Please.
But then there are like genius stuff like the Exile that gets stronger every phase that I love so much. Like every time I did that, I completed that thing like 6 times, I think, and they like half of them were super awesome and dangerous, and half of them were I got a bit unlucky. I got like the ancestral bond on Exile. It's like, okay, I guess I wasted the Nemesis mod. But once you get stuff like Soul Eater, it gets pretty cool.
I played one build for so long that as I got more of them, since my build was stronger, it got less and less interesting. Because, like, the last time I spawned it, I was just like, Essence Drain Contagion, everything's dead.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the thing.
If you get to a certain point, yeah, it just gets too much.
But I did really like it. I thought that was... I honestly felt that was a chain. Imagine that you have a Nemesis when you make a character.
Yes.
Or when you activate the chain. And it always gets stronger. There is no reset.
That would be really cool.
So it's just a question of you'll be at a point where it's too hard and you run away until eventually you've geared up your character, you've gotten stronger, and then you're like, yeah, I can fight it. But then once you've fought in it, he's going to get stronger, and it's a back and forth. And then it's a challenge of how high could you get? How high could you rank that?
Because you will drop like more and more loot and better loot every time you kill him, obviously. Would that be a league mechanic that one could do? That'd be enough to fill a league? Would be a guy that you encounter every so-and-so zones, and whenever you're
essentially being hunted.
Yeah, you're basically being hunted like Bounty League or whatever. You have like this bounty hunter on your head that will fuck you over at some point. And he will always come back. They couldn't call it Nemesis League because for obvious reasons that is already taken. But that would be a good fitting name as well.
How would the thing is, it would spawn. For it to work that way, it would have to spawn infrequently enough that it's not a good league mechanic. It would seem a little bit boring. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, imagine something spawning as much as like warbands originally did. I think it would have to be just kind of subtly squeezed in somewhere, or at least a part of a league mechanic, then stays incorporated. Like Invasion, we had a whole bunch of Invasion mobs, and we didn't really keep Invasion. But they did end up keeping... Actually, I guess in a way they did, because they kept some of the mobs, and then the zones have higher mob spawns.
Yeah. I kind of like thought as well that it might not be enough to fill a complete league.
No, yeah, so it has to be a side thing of a league as an excuse to start.
Yeah, it has to be like a part of a league. But I think, they basically have the system with that chain. That would be so awesome. Because I love that prophecy chain. I think it's my favorite prophecy chain by quite a bit.
I think my favorite one was the warbands. I've always liked warbands stuff. So the ones that spawned a whole bunch of warbands and that doing that chain and then eventually fighting the boss. Mm-hmm. But it didn't spawn frequently enough, so I was just kind of like a little bit disappointed.
It took quite a while to complete it, even if you got the first few chains. I had that problem. I think I completed it once. And Can you get Chaos Warbands with that?
I never saw it. I kept getting the fucking Frost ones, which was the Mute Winds, and I was like, for fuck's sakes, Mute Wind.
Yeah, I kept getting Frost and Lightning as well. It's like, I like the new strong boxes. I encountered 3 of those, I think, during the whole league, and they always have a general.
Yes, and doubling the drop rate of unique strong boxes.
Again. I actually went through my head when I read that and was like, last time we made some jokes. I remember when we talked last time about this, like, hey, they're doubling unique strong boxes. 2 times 0 equals 0, yay.
Yep.
But I actually found a crap ton of strong boxes this league.
Well, I think part of it, though, was there was the Bounty Prophecy, and there was the
Bounty Prophecy?
Bountiful Treasure. There was one that 6 lock boxes onto a map.
I never ran that. I found it annoying.
The sixth one?
Oh, the sixth one, no, that I did run. I never ran the one that transforms all mobs into strongbox.
Monstrous Treasure, the first Monstrous Treasure, like, wow, this is awesome. Second Monstrous Treasure, like, okay. Third one, you're like, this is fucking retarded.
Mm-hmm. It's just annoying as hell. I have to roll all monsters now. It's not fun.
I think Monstrous Treasure should have all been rare, so that you would have had to waste a ton of scours, and then you also would have had to waste tons of Chaos Orbs. It was just... Hated that one. Never got a Cardo in it, ever.
Nope, same. I found an Exalt from a Arcanist. It's the first time I ever got an Exalt from an Arcanist box. There were like 3 Arcanists in one corner, and I opened them all, and one of them actually got me an Exalt. I was like, I
completed my first Obas, and I got an Exalt at the end of that one.
Yeah,
so cool. I was like, yeah.
From one of the Obas boxes?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I actually never completed Obas, I think, because the maps just... I don't know.
Well, it's definitely scary because of the mod of you die.
I mean, you can just port loud there, so that's like a super loud countdown with the boom, 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 but it's not that difficult to not die to it.
I think the first time I did Obas, I didn't read it, and there was just the message in the countdown. I'm like, ooh, what happens at the end of the countdown?
One of those countdowns, huh? Nice. That's pretty awesome.
So, we live and then we learn. Or we die and we learn. Yep. I kind of really want to make a character that can do Grandmasters, though, in hardcore. Has that been...
Explosive Arrow.
Well, Explosive Arrow is...
the go-to build.
I watched some of the softcore runs, and they die.
They do die, but it's the go-to build because it actually can kill all those things, which is also...
I think Fire Trap's a really good one, too, isn't it?
Yeah, like
it's not anything, as fast.
Anything that is not safer. Chaos, but Degen is pretty good. Yeah, Fire Trap's not... probably a bit safer. But EA is pretty safe.
EA is safe until the last one. It's the last run of each because you can't get the line of sight perfectly anymore.
Exactly. Can you trap through the wall before the mobs spawn? Because they are guarded by these like force field walls, and then once you kill the last exile of the other one and step towards it, it will go open. They will activate. I don't know if you can trap them before killing the last exile, because then traps would have big advantage. But there are some RF builds which are very close to 100% fire resistance, which I would think will be pretty annoying to kill with fire trap.
True, but Explosive Arrow is good enough that can do it, so Fire Trap probably can get enough damage. The concern is the last one, because there are some insane punctures, there are some insane flicker guys, and you don't get much opportunity.
That's how my one run ended. There was a tornado shot, super high attack speed punctured bow guy who just like at like off-screen range, I couldn't even like really see him. He would just like tornado shot before, I don't know, 6k damage on sight, and he would also puncture before absurd damage.
Do you think Grandmasters is a success in general? Because I remember that was one of the supporter packs when it came out, and I was like, that's a very interesting supporter pack. And it's taken a long time for them to even make Grandmasters what it is now.
It's a lot of work as well, because they always have to keep updating stuff. I honestly don't think the map is run as often. It's not like it's actually added significant amount of content or playtime to the game.
Yeah.
Because it's not ran often. As for the people who bought the supporter pack, I think they're probably like, hey, yeah, I got my character in this map. I don't think it's like not rewarding enough for them. Maybe because people never run it, it's not as cool. I think it feels like it's too much time investment in like, I don't know, it's like it's a lot of investment to maintain that thing.
Yeah, it is.
At least if you have a unique design, that takes a lot of time, but then the unique is done and you have to maybe rebalance it if it's OP, but that's every unique in the game. It's like once you put work in and then you have an item that is in the game. While this is
and then you have like the introduction of the ascendancies and the amount of people who had the Grandmasters and now who want the Grandmaster ascendancies. Yeah.
It seems a bit weird. Problem is that it's not an option for hardcore. I did it in hardcore, and I didn't die.
You didn't finish it.
Yeah, because they were like they had, I think 3 of the wings I couldn't kill one of the block characters because I was it was fucking range attack totems, okay. But I got to the last on 2 of the wings, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect that to be able to do that, and I didn't die. And yeah, one of the wings I couldn't do because of the high damage bow exile that I just talked about.
I'm trying to think of when you ran it. Was there any dangerous chains? Because you ran totems. Because I'm probably going to do something like ancestral bond totems or something like that. And I was just kind of like, should I be concerned about a chain skill being available?
There's some arc, but arc does not enough damage. There's split arrow, but it also didn't do enough damage. No, the things that really like almost got me were really really high freezes. A lot of kinetic blast can be a pain. The frost wall fucker, that guy is like annoying as hell. He like puts totems down and frost walls you everywhere, and that can really catch you off guard if you. Especially I was a bow build, so my movement skill does have a cooldown, so I couldn't just avoid all the frost walls. There was not much chaining going on. I was playing totems myself. And I had more problems with the totems sometimes dying too fast though, because some of those guys like there's like the reeve guy who just like hits half the screen with his reeve and does like a few thousand damage to you, and whirling blades really fast. That guy was scary.
That'll be an exciting fight. But that's one of the ones where maybe more people will be trying out the Grandmasters because of the Atlas, and I think that would be a great thing for the Atlas to be doing. People doing unique maps that they wouldn't have done before. Though, for the most part, I think people will accept the -1 quantity drop.
Probably, yeah. I think maybe you could sell one quantity for the completionists if you have a build that can run it.
Well, it's going to be a tier 9, but I don't think that actually is going to affect anything.
No, the mobs have their own levels, anyways. Like the exiles have set levels depending on which wave they are put in.
Yeah, so
I don't think that does do anything at all.
So if there's nothing to do in terms of like it's tier 9, then I guess it makes the base maps that can drop in it higher, and the chests can be a little bit more rewarding at the end. So it's a good change.
Yep, you can get like higher eye level items. That's nice.
Would you pay for a run, or would you only take that quantity if you earned it yourself?
I probably, if at all, would run it myself. And I'm thinking about one of the options I'm thinking about is actually explosive arrows. So that's something I might actually do if I get the character to high enough level and to a point where I think like either it dies or it does something really, really crazy that I've not done before. If I happen to get that character high enough, I would probably do it myself. I'm not a fan of like buying kills and stuff. Maybe I can even like talk some of my guildmates into running that with me. That would be interesting. Kill some people.
There's no... They just get bonus life, so with an aura bot, it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, that's something I'm thinking as well. Support is something I might play as well, like a curse aura support. That should facilitate the map quite a bit.
I'm trying to think if none of them have cost breeze, so there's no curse immune guys.
Not yet. We don't know what happens soon.
Soon.
They might get updated the next patch, and then
next Grandmaster sets, there's going to be some guy with cost breeze, and it's going to be like, fuck.
Get hexproofed.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one and the unique ones. Then we don't think we can shape unique maps. Right? That seems weird.
We normally can't craft uniques.
But if you could shape a Poor Joyce from a tier 9 to a tier 14.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That
would be insane map returns. Like Victor's.
It would be a higher damage and life roll than even Alluring Abyss. It would be higher experience than Alluring Abyss. But if you get touched by a single detonate dead, you're fucking dead.
Yes. Unless you're like... You better be like RF with like almost 100% fire rest.
Juggernaut, Righteous Fire, Immortal Call. Even if you cleared that slowly, that would have to be like the best fucking experience possible.
It should be a crazy experience per map, especially. But I think it would be possible. Also, people would, if you could shape unique maps, everyone would run the Olmec Sanctum for the maps. Back in the day.
Well, you'd still have to get the map dropped shaped, which means only someone who shapes or who wastes one of their shaper orbs on cat. Well, actually, yeah. So if I shape catacombs,
Yeah, you shape the
which would
catacombs and farm.
to tier 11,
Mhm.
and then they drop, and I chance them, is the chanced catacomb gonna drop down?
That's an interesting question. Maybe that could even be something that GGG overlooks. That even if it's not
One
intended,
of
they
the
could have done this.
interesting things that GGG said was Xana can spawn unique maps of different levels now.
Oh,
If let me get that quote exactly because this is a
that's a
you
bold claim.
entertain chat,
Why me? I can just like read what they said.
but you are a bitch.
Wait, isn't
All right.
Olmec's insane map level now? Oh, let me. Is it? Did they up Olmec? Because Olmec's was always nice map returns. Because all the bosses drop higher level loot, which means they drop even higher level maps. So if it's already higher level, then it would be super nice. But in general, I wanna shape maps that would be super cool.
So
Like
map
unique maps.
drops. This was under the map drop section. Unique maps work the same as other maps. They only drop in maps that they are connected to on the atlas, unless you have completed them once. Then they drop as normal. Any missions Xana can offer, Xana can offer you unique maps that haven't unlocked yet. These may be lower level than the level of the actual unique map now.
So lower level, not higher level.
Lower level. But it does say that, unlike before, there can be a difference of unique maps.
Yeah. And I think the whole idea is that Zana can help you unlock unique maps without you actually having to buy or find them as well. Because you can because it said once you completed it, it can drop normally.
Yes. So, yeah, but that statement's weird because then it says completing Xana missions doesn't count as completing on the Atlas.
It doesn't? I thought that was like the whole selling point of that.
Well, completing Xana missions doesn't count as completing on the Atlas.
Well then, too bad.
I wonder, I think it might be a reason that, I think unique maps are one of the great things they've done in the game that players don't run unique maps often enough.
Yeah, I often have like unique maps lying around that I don't run. There's some that
Yeah.
I always run, like Coward's Trial, because they're like funny, good pack size. But
I ran Death and Taxes, and I said that I'd never ran Death and Taxes sooner because it's actually a really fun map, and
it used to be fun when it was like difficult.
yeah, and this time I ran it like 5 times, and it was just kind of like, oh, Death and Taxes, why not?
I actually died in Obers not too long ago. No, not Obers, Maokun.
Mao-kun.
Yeah, because sometimes that freaking Fag Race, for some reason, does 5k damage in one hit. I don't know why, but sometimes he just does.
He likes to be a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, he just like, Spectral throws me like 10 times, I take no damage, and then suddenly, one shot.
Yeah, but so if I shape temples, and temples, and they improve the layout so that temple's not a shit layout, so that brings my tier 9 temple into a tier 14 temple.
Yep.
And then I'm chancing, can I chance a tier 14 Poorjoys?
That would be interesting to know, yeah.
How much would you sell a tier 14 Poorjoys for?
Depends on what the roll, right? Because it can roll like the boss drops crap tons of rare
Well,
something.
people would be taking it though for the experience and shit like that.
If they would actually do that and not be too scared to do it, it would probably sell for quite a bit.
I might.
But if especially if you get something like rare daggers or something, you would be like rich. You get like crap tons of max eye level rare daggers. I mean, you can also sell as bases
Would they be max? Oh yeah, they would be max eye level on
because
the.
they drop from the boss.
Yeah, but they drop random bases. I think a tier 14 Poorjoys, it would only be valuable if it's rings or amulets. I think the value is entirely on the because of the experience.
Yeah, the experience-wise, yeah, they could be worth a bit. Depends on like how scary it actually is. Like maybe people just don't want to run it, especially in hardcore anyway. I mean, even in softcore, you don't get much
Righteous
experience
Fire
if you die 4
Juggernauts,
times.
they'll do it.
All the Righteous Fire Juggernauts. Depends on how popular that build is, I guess. Might sell for quite a lot,
I
actually.
think if I was playing and I found that this was possible, I would make a Righteous Fire Juggernaut just to clear these fuckers.
I
Take
mean,
full
that
advantage of that.
chancing all the boojos.
Hey,
That's cool.
that would be an interesting one.
I, th-
Then
I
we
think I
could
would
get
be
a
most interested for the bases though, as some chance to get some really really nice stuff.
what's another unique map that would be interesting to see at a very high level or a much higher level?
I don't know what the wolf den is on a tier if it can be shaped.
It's a tier 10.
It could be tier
So
15.
you could do a tier 15, which has the boss guarantees 5 map drops,
That would be absurd. Getting
which
some tier
means
16s? No, you can't
yeah,
because it's
you
not
if you
adjacent.
shape if
Unless you
you
have them
shape the
unlocked.
wolf's den, you could, and you had the 16th unlocked. I think you might just straight up get a.
Sub
Wait, isn't it
15.
map level plus 5 anyways? Sorry, one second. You
If it's map level plus 5, I don't think it is. I think it's just 5 extra maps. I'm not
um
certain.
yeah, unique boss drops 4 additional maps. Okay, I'm being weird.
So, yeah, but shaping would put it up to. That would be crazy.
So you could potentially get like 4 or 5 easy tier 16s.
Yoji, turn off your Whisper stream podcast. I did get a Whisper. Oh, I did get a Whisper. Well, get wrecked, John Megatron. Don't whispering
Everybody,
during the podcast, you shitter.
everybody whisper Yoji. Spam him. So yeah, that's those 2 unique maps are interesting. Okay, now I'm curious. What are some other ones?
Yeah, you open the Atlas thing. I can't do it without screwing over the layout of the thing.
Well, I could show you the atlas and you could screw around with that. 1 second. Hey, come on, entertain people.
I don't like to entertain people. Are you not entertained?
Fuck off. Memes. All right,
But
atlas tiers. If you want to bring this up, you can. I'll say it in chat.
chat does help because I can actually use that.
All right. It's in chat.
Unentertained paradise. Ah, what? What?
What do you mean, what?
What? It means I have no idea what the hell is going on.
We can't chance Brandis Manor or Victor's Coward's Trial. You could potentially get a tier 14. I don't see how you could potentially chance Untainted. Vaults could be a tier 8 vaults for whatever fucking reason. Acton's Nightmare
Vaults.
tier
Oh yeah,
13.
I mean, you could get higher eye level drops if you
Yeah, no.
chance the vaults, I guess.
I think a tier 14 Acton's Nightmare would have a lot of experience.
If we get an atlas. Okay, people can't see us anymore, but we have an atlas.
All right. People can't see us, but we have an atlas. Well done, team. Question mark. We are the best around. Da 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 da.
Makes the atlas a bit smaller, I guess.
We know there's a few things missing, but it's just to refresh. Yeah.
I put it over chat in myself. Like over it.
You most likely can't upgrade Obas. You could do a tier 14 Mao Kun.
I mean, shaping Coward's Trial is already pretty nice because Coward's Trial is now a tier 9.
Or it's a tier 9 base, yeah.
So it would be tier 14 with crap tons of mobs. And it can actually drop, what's it called? Skyforth! Yay! Winning! It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go. You can get some Skyforce. Overgrown Shrine, Maokon, Olmex, as you said. Olmex would go into a... How much extra eye levels on the boss? I can't remember.
Olmex, I think like 5 or so.
So that would make it a tier... It's would go to tier 12, so you could get tier 17 off the boss. Or sorry, equivalent to eye level 84. Which kind of works out.
Master of Chaos is pretty nice. Making that to your tier 13 would be
Oh, that would be amazing.
lots of quantity on that map, right? It's basically like having a free magic finder.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
Skyforce is tier level 34, right? But the boss has +2 to eye level, so if it's a tier 14, it would be basically tier 16. No, it would not be enough actually to drop Skyfall. Rip the
Oh,
dream.
you could do a tier 11 Waka Waryu.
Oh yeah, if you really hate yourself, you could do Waka Wairua Tuaru tier 11 just because. That sounds like a
The
good idea.
boss now with 10 times the AIDS.
Extra 8, yay!
Oh, that'd be greatest. Oh yeah, the tier 14 is eye level 81, which gives you the eye level 83.
That's pretty interesting at least. Yeah, so maybe that is a thing that one can do, although it's like a
Oh,
lot of
Skyforce is eye
investment.
level 84, not eye level 82 to drop, so
Ah,
no
right.
no Skyforce from the Coward's Trial.
Oh, unless Chaos Trial ignores eye level anyway, that would be interesting. Because I don't think it does care for eye level, to be honest.
I like how we're looking at the map and we can see like just the top of your bald head. It's just
Yeah,
like
I can like look over the map.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm still sad that the stone I have is not on the thing.
It can drop. I okay. So how do you feel about the stone marketing campaign?
It was a bit interesting that they never like really picked it up again. But I don't know. It created some discussion, got like a lot of like some attention for people. It was nice for me because I got like some views. I think I saw that last time. I think it's
Yeah.
not horrible, but it seems a bit. I don't know, a bit like a lot of stuff has to be done to get this done, and it doesn't really provide much in return, except for like a little bit of like, hey, yay, this is really cool. I mean, it was really cool. I was like really happy to find it, but that's just me.
I feel like there was something else they were going to try to do, and then it got like dropped at some point in time related to the marketing campaign. Because I just feel like there was supposed to be something else.
Yeah,
But they're
because
like,
also this map is not in the atlas. I still understand why, but the stone is not on the atlas. And my stone got removed again. I'm a bit sad. And otherwise, I could be, hey, this is an I don't know, Oasis map, but it's not. It's just not on the.
Well, apparently they don't care enough about you at Yoji. You got the fake one.
Yeah.
You have a fake pretend stone.
Also, apparently they had like quite a few of these made because they posted like a picture of like some stones lying on a table at the office, probably something like this. And yeah, of course, Mathel, Lifting, and Ziggy got one as well. Lifting never showed his, did he?
No, I don't think Lifting ever did.
But
And
he has a red tier.
maybe you guys have to like meet each other in real life and touch stones together. And
Yeah,
magical
Lifting didn't
things
show
will
up at the
happen.
meetup. He's banned anyways. Everything.
Yeah, he was jealous, stroking his stone.
Oh yeah, he was like,
All right, what else do we want to talk about, or is that it?
I think that might be it. Anything chat wants to talk about really, really badly, maybe.
Yeah,
That
chat.
could
Do you
help.
have anything you want us to run over or bring up, or make us pretend we're caring? Yoji cares. I pretend he for some reason is like some sincere piece of shit.
Hello.
How dare you?
Chat can do some work too. It's not like we're us doing all the discussion and
Yeah.
topic. I mean, not like we prepared anything for this podcast. I mean, this is like the least prepared one we ever had. Usually we have like at least like one topic that we have prepared in advance. This one was like, I have internet. You want to do podcast? Yes. When? Good.
Erection wants the slurping sounds. Exactly.
Everyone
All
can
right.
do that. It's not that difficult. What builds
All
are you
right.
guys going to start with? I think you already like spoiled us a little bit, but that's like I think a legit question.
Yeah, Ancestral War Chief is what I'm thinking of, but patch notes are patch notes.
Yeah, I'm basically waiting for the patch notes, but I'm thinking about 3 builds. EA is one thing, depending on what they do to Elementalists and EA. Arc, Crit, Inquisitor is another thing I think I might be doing, especially because I think Arc is really shit, and I kind of want to make Arc great again. That was basically the idea.
Okay, so you took a break from Jank. Now you're going full back into Jank.
Yeah, or the other one would be support, which would be Estrad as it gets.
Watch them like buff Spark into Oblivion, and you're like, huh? Or sorry, not Spark, Arc, and you're like, well, there goes my Jank.
Well, if they do that, I'm just gonna play it, I guess.
The cast on crit change, we talked about it a little bit. I might try it out just to see the change eventually. But cast on crit's not my thing. It just isn't my thing.
How much do you think map respecking will cost?
If the red sextants are expensive, I would assume a regret, 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 white, and 1 chisel.
I'm thinking something about like a bunch of scourers and a bunch of random stuff. Do you think it will be sextants involved? I don't really know if it will.
Sure.
Maybe like a bunch of chisels and scourers.
Well, it's what was it? 5 regrets and 20 chisels to unshape a map.
Yep.
So, yeah,
probably
my
more
guess,
expensive to uncomplete it, right?
I would assume so because they really don't want to make people just swapping it really, really quickly.
A mirror.
Like
buying fishing rods from Zana costs a mirror as well.
They'll make just like you can get 5 mirrors from the 1 divination card. There's going to be a sextant there's going to be a sextant where maps drop a mirror. 5 runs.
5 runs, yeah, nice. I mean, what about like Shaper's Orb from and what's the other called? Sextants from that divination card. That could be interesting. They're getting 5 Shaper's Orbs is pretty good.
The Shaper Orbs are set values. There's only 15. You get 1. So how Shaper Orbs function, there's a specific map that you have to complete to unlock the Shaper Orb.
All right, yeah, I read that.
Right. And then there's 7. There's 1 for each from tier 1 to tier 7 for upgrading, 1 to 6 and so on and so forth. Then there's 2 tier 8s, and then there's 3 tier 9s and 3 tier 10s for a total of 15.
Yeah, I read that, and you can't trade them, so you can't cheat, basically, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Learning to read, people are more learning to remember.
Yeah, I just forgot that I read that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So,
right. So that's
all.
Basically it.
We can close this off. We can host somebody. If no internet explodes...
There will be a podcast next Saturday.
Yes. Keep in mind, we have tried to do it weekly and have failed to ever do it weekly.
Yeah, I think there have been like 1 time where we did 2 in a row.
And we've like pissed off angry AA and Pox because we tried to both get them, and then it's God damn it.
Like everyone hates us and nobody knows when the podcast is, including ourselves.
There may or may not be a guest next time.
Yeah, next time. There may or not
podcast.
Yeah, next time there may or may not be a guest. And there may or may not be a podcast. Or anything, really. But
and only 3 ambulances today.
Yeah, but keep looking out for it. There might be another one.